Hi, everyone. Hi, Chris.
Hi.
This used to be called Chris's Corner, but you haven't been on very much recently.
That's true. That title was a bit of a joke because you know how it originated? There was Coach's Corner on Hockey Night in Canada. Okay. And then I had a blog.
I remember that.
Blog on WordPress 13, 14 years ago. And I called it Chris's Corner.
That's right.
And then that became the name of this small group video.
Is that still accessible?
I wouldn't want anyone to go looking for it.
Deep.
Maybe.
The deep corners.
Yeah.
Of the net.
In the dark web, I think is
the
where
dark
it is.
web. A couple announcements for all of you before we get into this week's text. 1, Alpha Launch Party.
We used to call a lot of things parties. Welcome to learn. Welcome
Everything
to
was a
church party.
party.
But a lot of the things weren't actually parties. But this does feel like a party. It is at our ministry center, 1155 Thurlow Street. There is usually a DJ. There are lights. There are drinks. There are, what else happens at it?
Chicken wings.
Chicken wings. And so if you're...
Vegetable platters, one of my favorites.
If you're curious about faith, if you're exploring what it looks like to follow Jesus, if you have people in your lives who are asking you questions, Alpha is a great place to bring them. And the Alpha Launch Party is just a way for people to get they see a bit of the video, get a feel for what it's like, and kind of normalizes the experience.
I'm going to take a stab and say the information's right here on our screen. It's also on the website. You can sign up. You can send people there. Mm-hmm. It's happening. Mm-hmm. We also wanted to remind/inform you that we are doing a college open house April the 10th. It's the last day of the school, and we're inviting others to come. We're inviting you to come if you're at all interested in taking part in the college in the fall. And so you can sign up for that on the website, and we're really, really looking forward to this next year of the college and all that will come with that. And maybe you'll be joining us, and that would be a lot of fun. We didn't teach, neither of us taught this week. True. And yet we've been assigned to help our small groups here unpack the text that Jason spoke on. Mm-hmm. So here we are. I want to read it. It's from James chapter 3, and starting in verse 13 through verse 18. Here it is. Who is wise and understanding among you? Let them show it by their good life, by deeds done in the humility that comes from wisdom. But if you harbor bitter envy and selfish ambition in your hearts, do not boast about it or deny the truth. Such wisdom does not come down from heaven, but is earthly, unspiritual, demonic. For where you have envy and selfish ambition, there you find disorder and every evil practice. But the wisdom that comes down from heaven is first of all pure, then peace-loving, considerate, submissive, full of mercy and good fruit, impartial and sincere, peacemakers who sow in peace reap a harvest of righteousness. Mm-hmm. Chris, what is one thing that stands out to you as you hear that text read even now?
Yeah. Well, I think it's important to have a definition of wisdom, and so I define it as learning to live God's way in God's world. And you see that a bit in this text where it talks about show your wisdom by the good life you lead, by deeds done in humility that flow out of wisdom, out of an understanding of who God is and how God's designed the world and the human person to operate. And if you wanted a bit of a description of what that looks like, what it looks like to live God's ways in God's world, you get a sampling in this text, and it's pretty compelling. Wisdom that comes from heaven is considerate, submissive, full of mercy, impartial, sincere, peace-loving. Really, really beautiful. And it strikes me how stark the contrast is from, worldly wisdom. My translation has scare quotes around earthly wisdom, and then the wisdom that comes from heaven. And then I guess my other reflection is just simply as we've gone through James, and some people call James New Testament wisdom literature because it's so proverbial and practical. As we've gone through it, I've just felt deeply that God's way is better, not necessarily easier, not necessarily simpler, but it is better. And so when we talk about faith and works, a faith that lives itself out, a faith where there's integrity, where our beliefs and our behavior match, that's good for me. It's good for the world. When we take seriously our words, the power of our words to hurt or to heal, to bless or to curse, when I take that seriously, it's good for me and it's good for the world. And those are just two examples of the ways in which God's way is better for me in the world. And I think you get a stark contrast in this text that shows the same thing.
Yeah, really good. One thing that stands out to me that I reflect on pretty often in Scripture is just that God's wisdom is available, that God's not trying to hide truth from us. He's not trying to hide his way from us. Pastor James is definitely not trying to hide the truth from us, but this is the heart of God. All throughout Scripture, he wants us to know his ways. I remember one time teaching on Jesus teaching about the narrow path and the narrow gate. And sometimes I used to read that like, maybe it's like really hard to find, like a treasure hunt, we got to find it. That's not the case. It just means not many go for it, but it doesn't mean it's hidden from view. The Lord wants to hold his way in front of us. And there's a passage about wisdom in Proverbs 8 that I've had on my mind while considering this text. And it just says at the beginning, does not wisdom call out? Does not understanding raise her voice? At the highest point along the way, where the paths meet, she takes her stand. Beside the gate leading into the city, at the entrance she cries out, to you, O people, I call out. I raise my voice to all mankind. And this is both this this picture of wisdom personified, going, I want to be known. And this mirrors is a picture of the heart of God going, I'm not trying to hide. I want wisdom to be known. And then further, as we've seen in James, God gives wisdom generously. Not only is it available, but he's the giver of it. So though it's costly, though we give up much for it, though it takes sacrifice to live a life of wisdom, it's not something that is far away from any one of us.
I like that proverb from chapter 8.
But you have your own?
I have my own proverb. I dropped my journal while you were reading. That was tough. But let me see your proverb and raise you another proverb. This is Proverbs 4, verse 6 to 7. I think this is a great, as we're ending here, and going to give you some questions to talk about. I think this is a great encouragement or exhortation for all of us as we close. It says in Proverbs 4, verse 5, get wisdom, get understanding.
Yeah.
Then verse 6, it says, do not forsake wisdom, and she will protect you. Love her, and she will watch over you. The beginning of wisdom is this, get wisdom. Though it cost you all you have, get understanding. Cherish her, and she will exalt you. Embrace her, and she will honor you. I just love that at all costs. Get wisdom, pursue wisdom. Learn and know God's way that's available to all of us because it's a path to flourishing and full life.
It was also a great proverb.
It was.
Thank you for sharing it. I would like to suggest one question. There's commentary in this text about the reality that there is wisdom that's not godly wisdom. Wisdom, you did the quote, like the worldly wisdom. I think it could be helpful for us to explore and name what are forms of worldly wisdom. It seems the text is suggesting they swirl around selfish ambition, this idea of like me first. But where do we see kind of ideas like this is good advice, but actually it's not God advice, it's not godly advice? And how do we experience that and counter that? And how do we help one another name what godly wisdom is? How do we help each other seek it out and pursue it and prioritize knowing it in our lives? And there's some other questions for you in the guide. Pleasure to be on the corner with you once again.
Great.
See you all soon.